car 16 years in a row and the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays. And by Home Hardware, homeowners helping homeowners with expert advice.
Welcome to Houston, and no, we haven't moved. They've just opened the roof. It's the 2nd of August, and all the local media people believe this is the first time in the history of this ballpark they have started a game in the month of August with the roof open. It's 27 degrees. It's a gorgeous night, and everybody was caught off guard when they started to slide the roof back.
No humidity. That's the thing that's impressive about this. It's a beautiful night for a baseball game. There's a little bit of a wind. It's a gorgeous night, a chance for the Blue Jays to win Game 2 in this 3-game series.
These are two of the best home run hitting ball clubs in the American League, and the home runs really came into action. Gregorio Petit and Nolan Reimold, and they have both have decisive home runs in this series. On Thursday night, Reimold's second of the night made the Blue Jays a 6-5 winner. And then last night, how about Gregorio Petit, his first big league home run?
I don't think anybody in the ballpark expected this. Off of Aaron Loop into the second row in left field, his first major league home run. It turned out to be a game winner. So we might see more of the fireworks tonight from these two home run hitting ball clubs.
Take a look at the lineup for John Gibbons. Top of the order, Reyes, Cabrera, and then Jose Bautista. Against left-handed pitching this year, he has a 1.144 OPS. That's the best in the American League. He's absolutely worn out left-handers. He's got 8 home runs this season against left-handed pitchers. Nolan Reimold's in the cleanup spot. Valencia's at first base, and Steve Thomason, he too has hit very well against lefties, and that's what they're facing tonight. Thomason in the lineup at third base, and they're set to take on Brett Oberholzer, the left-hander for the Astros.
25-year-old lefty will make his 15th start of the season. He went 0-6 with an inflated ERA towards 6 in his first 7 starts before being sent down to the minor leagues for the first time this season earlier on. Since then, he has gone 3-1 with a very good ERA of about 3 over his last 7 outings. In between, he's had 2 more trips to AAA. He beat Oakland in his last starts, and the Blue Jays beat him back in April 5-2. When he pitched just 5 1/3 innings.
Take a look at the defense for the Astros. In the outfield, he got some good speed. From left to right, Mark Krause is in left. Former Blue Jay Jake Marisnick played his first game last night in center. Robbie Grossman is in right. Dominguez, Petit, Altuve, and Singleton from third base to first base. And Jason Castro is the catcher, and there's the first pitch of the game in there for a strike.
Matt Dominguez has started 109 of the Astros' 110 games, including 105 at third base. He's only made 7 errors this season.
There's a fly ball to left. Matt Krause looking up. This ball is off the wall. Reyes is around first. He'll go to second. That ball came down almost straight down and hit the scoreboard high on the wall, and Reyes has got the Blue Jays off and running. His 22nd double starts things off here in the first inning.
Told you it could be one of those nights. A lot of ball could be flying out of this ballpark. Deep to left field. Krause gets a little bit too close to that scoreboard, and the ball bounces over his head, allowing Reyes to make it into second base. He came so close to another leadoff home run.
Melky Cabrera. He's got 5 home runs against lefty pitching this season. He bunts this one to third base. That's a great bunt, and it's going to be a base hit. Oh, Melky Cabrera drops down a perfect bunt. So it's a double and a bunt single, and the Blue Jays quickly have Oberholzer up against the ropes.
Scored a run in the first inning last night. Threatening again to do that tonight. Put that one in your back pocket. You're not going to do anything with that one. That one deadened down the third base line by Melky Cabrera. He caught Matt Dominguez deep at third base and drops it right in front of him for the base hit.
Now Bautista will step in. Bautista has 21 home runs, 10 in the first inning. He hit one here on Thursday night in his first at bat. Bautista has homered against Oberholzer. First inning curveball back on the 8th of April at Rogers Center.
Tell you what, you can be ready to swing the bat against this guy. He doesn't overpower you, doesn't throw that hard, and he doesn't walk a lot of batters also. He's always around the plate.
Bautista working Oberholzer. The last 11 games have been good for Jose, a .350 average. 7 extra base hits. Bautista late on that fastball. 89 miles an hour. You're not going to get much more of a fastball from Oberholzer.
He's the kind of guy where you can go up there if you're a Blue Jay hitter, and you can almost look for a breaking ball if you want to. He's got a very good curveball and a good changeup. I think you can look for that because it's not going to throw the fastball by you. You can react to that fastball.
2-1 to Bautista. Pop straight back out of play.
I think if you go up there looking for the fastball, he's going to soft toss you, start throwing more curveballs, more changeups, and that's when you're going to be out in front.
He's the perfect left-hander to target the alley in right center. That'll keep you on all the soft stuff. Reyes doubled. He's at third. Cabrera with a bunch of singles at first.
How about the infield pull and the outfield plays Bautista the other way?
Bautista strikes out. That high fastball. Big strikeout for Oberholzer.
Goes out of the strike zone to pick up a big strikeout. Again, it's not very hard. You can see Jose upset with himself as he foul tips that one into the glove of Jason Castro. Runner at third base, less than 2 outs. Got to get him in.
Now here's another one of those new right-handed bats. Nolan Reimold. He had 2 home runs on Thursday night. Just over a month ago on July 1st, Reimold was designated for assignment by the Orioles. Blue Jays picked him up, and he's had an impact already. A couple of home runs. He's driven in 5.
He's now back cleanup for the Blue Jays. Blue Jays are in a fight with the Orioles for the American League East.
Way inside, 2-0.
You don't think Nolan Reimold wants to do something to knock his former team out of it?
You bet. He and Danny Valencia both, they got a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. Last 6 games, a .412 average for Reimold. He's the DH tonight. There's a drive into center field. Reyes goes back to third to tag. Marisnick makes the catch, and Reimold has driven home Reyes, the first run of the ball game. For Reimold, his 6th RBI since becoming a Blue Jay. Danny Valencia will bat now in the 5th spot, and he's a power bat that really relishes hitting against lefties.
Yeah, and he's an aggressive hitter, and I think a free swinger also. So you know he's going to be on that fastball. Here is what he does against certain pitches. Against the fastball, he sees it 55% of the time, and he hammers it to a tune of 410. The changeup down to 214. The breaking ball, he's had problems with that. That's why I think he's more of a free swinger, and he's very aggressive at the plate. That's why I think he's good against the left-handers. That breaking ball is coming into him as opposed to from a right-hander going away from him.
3 for 8 in this series with a couple of doubles. Off-speed pitch in there for a strike. Valencia began his career with the Twins. He's bounced around a bit. He's played in Boston. He's played in Baltimore this season. Those are his numbers with Kansas City and the Blue Jays.
We were talking in the opening about the effect of Edwin Encarnacion and Brett Lawrie out of the lineup. Since Brett went out, that was back in June 23rd. Blue Jays have only hit .226 against left-handed pitching with 8 home runs and 81 strikeouts. Reimold and Valencia give them a little bit more depth, a little bit more professional at bats, I think.
Now they're both big league hitters, and they have both hit well against lefty pitching in the past. There was a time when It started against a left-handed pitcher, and Steve Tolleson in the lineup. He didn't have a right-handed bat to go to. Navarro was DHing from time to time.
Yeah, a lot of left-handers were neutralized by the left-handed pitchers.
Bouncing ball right back to Overholser. He minimizes the damage, but the Blue Jays have taken a 1-0 lead. Jose Reyes doubled to start the game. He got it going early. Just missed a home run as this scrapes the paint on the scoreboard. The Blue Jays have a 1-0 lead. For the Astros tonight. Top of the order, best hitter in baseball right now. He's got more hits than anybody in the game. Jose Altuve, top of the order. He's hit .338 here in this ballpark. That's the 4th best home batting average in the American League. Then down in the 3rd spot, big power for Chris Carter, the DH, his last 21 games. He's been putting the ball in play. A .304 average, 8 homers and 19 RBIs. And Chris Carter is always a threat to knock one out of the ballpark.
R.A. Dickey gets ready for his 24th start of the season. Opponents hitting .238 versus R.A. this season. That is the best on the Blue Jays pitching staff. 126 strikeouts for R.A. That's 10th in the American League. At his best last start. Season high 10 strikeouts, 7 innings, 3 hits versus the Boston Red Sox. Blue Jays pounded the Sox 14-1 in that ball game. Dickey won his 9th game of the season, trying to even his record here tonight.
R.A. Dickey is making his 58th start as a Blue Jay. He has a 23-23 record. Altuve is set. There's a knuckler downstairs. Altuve had an impact in the game last night. Late picked up his first hit in the 8th inning. It was a double after the home run by Petit. And he stole third, got himself into position for that insurance run.
That was a big stolen base right there. Heads up play by Altuve. There goes second to third on that stolen base.
There's a drive down the left field line. That's hooking. It is a fair ball. Altuve steps on first. He's headed for second with a leadoff double. His 32nd double of the season. Well, we've got baseball here in Houston, and if you want to see some great tennis action, we've got that for you as well. The ATP 500 Series City Open semifinal, Vasek Possible, is playing now in the semifinal. It's semifinal number 2. Milos Raonic won semifinal number 1. He will play in the finals tomorrow afternoon. And there could be an all-Canadian final. And it would be something special on the ATP Tour, so make sure you check it out. Tennis going on right now. Robbie Grossman takes a strike. Grossman, a .201 hitter, but he always hits well against the Blue Jays. Blue Jays seem to bring out the best in Grossman.
Isn't it funny how that works? Certain players, they're good major leaguers, but against the Blue Jays, they get up against them and they become great players. David Murphy from Cleveland has had high numbers against the Blue Jays in his career. Grossman, another one.
0-2 pitch inside. Inside corner. Grossman with the late call is called out on strikes as that ball caught the inside corner. One out, man at second. Let's check out the defense behind R.A. Dickey. Big ballpark and you need some speed. You got Cabrera in left, Anthony Gose is in center, Bautista's in right. On the infield, Tolleson, Reyes, Goins, and Valencia. Danny Valencia making his second start at first. And Josh Tolley, the knuckleball catcher for the Gold Glover, R.A. Dickey.
Danny's looked good over at first base. John Gibbons was talking about him today before the ball game, saying he's got a good glove. He likes his actions over at first base and not afraid to play him over at third base either. Been a good addition for the Blue Jays.
Chris Carter takes it downstairs. It's 2-0 now. Carter with 21 home runs and 49 RBIs. We mentioned his numbers over his last 21 games. He's hit .304. But he's always prone to the strikeout.
He had a great month of July also for Houston. He was tied for first in the American League in home runs with 8 in the month of July. He's got the big swing and susceptible to the strikeouts. He also raised his batting average 30 points in the month of July.
Tried to wait as long as he could, and that ball was down and away, and he fouls it into the seats. It's 2-2. We mentioned Grossman against the Blue Jays has a .321 career average. Not so good for Chris Carter. .127 for his career. And that's a span of 63 at bats. Check swing. That looked like it might have caught him on the hand. The umpire saying it's a foul ball. And Carter said, no, it hit me on the hand. But the umpire threw his hands up indicating foul ball. And now he's visiting with him. Jordan Baker's the home plate umpire. And he said, I got that on that. Bo Porter coming out to plead his case. Now, this is a reviewable play here. The hit by pitch is reviewable by the instant replay. But the umpire threw his hands in the air immediately, suggesting foul ball. That's a sign you get from an umpire, and that's what it's going to stand as, a foul ball. So Carter will reluctantly get back in the box. Here's the pitch. Looked like it was right off the knob of the bat.
Yeah. Knuckleball. The reaction sure didn't seem like he got hit in the hand. He didn't start shaking his hand or jumping around out there.
Two balls and 2 strikes. That ball is hooked down the left side. That's a fair ball up against the wall. Altuve comes in to score. Carter headed for second. He'll get there, and it's a tie game. The Astros can swing the bat. Altuve with the leadoff double, just like Reyes. He comes in to score.
Now I wish they would have called it a hit by a pitch right there. He was also tied for 4th in the American League in RBIs with 19 in the month of July. And that's a knuckleball that just rolled over the plate. And big Chris Carter hammers it into the corner for an RBI double.
So that early lead evaporated quickly. Jason Castro, the catcher, with 1 out, fouls it straight back to the screen. Castro's had some success against Dickey. He's 4 for 13. That's a .308 average. He just hasn't developed as a hitter the way the Astros would have hoped. .228 average.
Yeah, there's more there in that guy's game. His number one priority, though, as a catcher is to catch. Handle the pitching staff, call a good game, block balls in the dirt for out base runners. The hitting will come. He's got a nice looking swing. Nothing wrong with his swing.
Dickey ahead 0-2. Right back to Dickey, knocks it down, and Goins is not going to have a play. So another hit for the Astros. Dickey swiped at it. There's obviously a great fielder. He just couldn't get leather on it. He knocked it down and killed it to the point where Goins didn't have a play.
Well, it comes back there so quickly. And it might have been a double play if he could have got the glove up there a little bit quicker, but he knocks it down and knocks it into no man's land. No chance for anyone to make that play. And right now that knuckleball's not moving as much. I was talking with Steve Sparks right next to us here in the radio booth, and he throws batting practice, BP, to the Astros on the days that R.A. Dickey pitches. There's Sparky. He was a knuckleball pitcher when he played, and he was down in the cage today. And I said, well, who was covering the ball for him today? And he said Chris Carter and Mark Krause were the guys who were really hitting his knuckleball today.
And Krause is the batter now. He's got a home run against Dickey. He is 3 for 5 against the Blue Jays starter. There's a fly ball to right. Bautista coming in. Carter goes back to third to tag. Here's the throw to the plate, and Carter's going to stop. Ball is cut off. Wasn't hit that deep into right.
Sounded like he might have broke his bat also with that knuckleball. Krause can't get it out there far enough. Last start, R.A. Dickey's knuckleball was really moving. It was going down and it was going in against the left-handers. That one looked like it got in right in on his hands. So a big out without that run scoring.
John Singleton, the first baseman, will step in. He's got 9 home runs, but he's got a 175 batting average. A lot of swings and misses. Been a real problem for Houston. The total number of strikeouts is staggering. When you're trying to mount a rally, they got R.A. Dickey on the ropes, and there's always that strikeout that'll snuff out a rally in a heartbeat. The Astros struck out 963 times. There's a pop back out of play.
And that's the most in the American League. They've got 3 players in the top 10 in the American League. George Springer, who's not going to play in this series, has 114. He's third in the AL. Chris Carter tied him up with 114. And Castro, who we just saw, has 104, 8th most in the AL.
0-2. There's a base hit to right. On an 0-2 pitch, Singleton drives in. The go-ahead run for Singleton is 28th RBI. And it comes on an 0-2 pitch. 4 hits for the Astros here in the first.
Again, that one just tumbles over the middle of the plate, and it's up. And Singleton is very strong. He just gets the bat head out there and pulls it by Goins into right field. 6 batters now, and 4 of them have reached base via a hit.
Matt Dominguez, the third baseman, takes one upstairs. There are a lot of hitters with power in this lineup, but you'll see a lot of low batting averages. They are just a team that's going to swing and strike out a lot. They hit 120 home runs. That's third in the American League. Will Porter, the manager, knows that they have to get more consistent at bats to really produce consistent offense.
There's a wild swing right there, 2-0. You know you're going to get the knuckleball. Singleton's swing was controlled with 2 strikes. Chris Carter, I thought, did a good job with 2 strikes. A nice controlled swing.
There's a strike that floated right in there on the inner part of the plate. 2 balls and 2 strikes. The Astros have taken the lead here in the bottom of the first. You're right, that knuckleball just isn't moving as dramatically as we saw last time out. Dickey won his last 2 starts, both against the Red Sox.
And the balls were moving all over the place. Pitch tracker, everything is up in this at bat against Matt Dominguez. You can see that's not a good sign either.
Good backhand by Tolley. That ball was in the dirt. Full count now, 2 outs. The runners at first and second will be off on the pitch. Open air baseball at Minute Maid Park tonight. The first time they have started a game in the month of August with the roof open in the ballpark's history. And a fly ball to right. Bautista has plenty of room. He makes the catch. Dominguez is out, but the Astros score 2 runs on 4 hits and have taken a lead against R.A. Dickey. 2-1 Houston. AP 500 Series City Open in Washington. It's going on right now. Canadian Vasek Pospisil is playing right now in semifinal number 2. If he wins that, it'll be an all-Canadian final tomorrow afternoon at 3 p.m. And you can see it on Sportsnet 360. Milos Raonic has already advanced to the finals. What a great build-up to the Rogers Cup that starts next week in Toronto. Montreal going to feature the women's portion of the Rogers Cup, and what a great weekend it could be. An all-tennis final tomorrow. It'll be right here on Sportsnet 360 at 3 Eastern Time. Steve Tollefson with a good batting average against lefty pitching. He's at .342 this season against lefties. Has 10 extra base hits. And he continues to hit the lefties. A leadoff single for Tollefson, the third baseman.
Again, that ball, that breaking ball is going to come into you. So much easier for a right-handed batter against left-handed pitching. You can take away that breaking ball going away from you. It's going to come right to you. Slider down and in, base hit.
Josh Tolley will bat with Tollefson at first. Interesting shadows now as Tolley is standing in the shade. The mound is in the sun. Tolley's hit well against lefties this year, .333 average. 9 for 27. Done a nice job.
Well, he stays in against the lefties. That front shoulder stays in. He doesn't try and pull them. He's trying to hit the ball back through the middle or the other way. Last year, Josh was saying that he was a little bit over aggressive offensively. His game is just to go the other way with all those pitches. Last year he was trying to yank the ball, trying to impress, hit extra bases. Did work out for him. Going back to the way he was hitting when he was with the Mets.
Off the plate inside. It's not unusual for a player in his first year with a new team trying to do a little bit more than you're capable of. Last year Josh hit 175. Had 21 hits and 120 at bats. He already has 26 hits this season.
This was the guy we saw when he was the Mets, with the Mets, just try to go right back through the middle.
Tolley hit a career high 268. in 2011 and 340 at bats. He did a nice job swinging the bat. When he caught Dickey during Dickey's Cy Young year, totally caught a lot. He hit 234 in 2012.
Josh is never going to be a big home run hitter, and I think he knows that. And part of the thing you have to do when you get to the big league is determine what type of player you are and what you are capable of. Josh is really not capable of being a 25, 30 home run type of guy. His game is to hit the ball where it's pitched.
Full count, nobody out. Tollison at first, not running. Ball is back to the mound. Oberholzer goes to second for one, back to first. Double play. A 1-6-3 double play that erases the leadoff single. Fred Oberholzer, 3-7 on the season. This is his 15th start. As Pat mentioned, he's been up and down. He has done okay against the AL East.
Yeah, what is it against the AL East in his career? He's got a .500 record, but check out that earned run average and opponent's batting average. That's side-worthy right there against the American League East in his starts. It's 8 games for Oberholzer.
Brian Goins takes the first pitch strike. Goins 0 for 3 last night. Had an RBI single in the opener on Thursday night. 1 for 4 in the first game of this series. Goins is from Round Rock, Texas, just north of Austin, Texas, about an hour and about 170 miles from him, about a 3.5 hour trip. He's got a lot of family here. That's the Goins family that made their way down to Houston for the weekend. Ball is hit in the air to left. House is there. An easy inning for Oberholzer. His club gave him the lead. He responds by facing 3 up, 3 down. Dickey back for the bottom of the second. Series, and it all starts Tuesday night. Blue Jays take on the front-running Baltimore Orioles at Rogers Center. Tuesday night game starts at 7:07 and will be followed by Wednesday night and Thursday night games, all starting at 7:07. Call the Blue Jays for tickets at 416-341-1234 or log online to BlueJays.com. The Orioles in town for a 3-game series. The Orioles have a makeup game on Monday while the Blue Jays were off. The Orioles will play in Washington. A game that was rained out earlier against the Nationals. Orioles have a 1-0 lead in their game tonight. Adam Jones with an RBI groundout in the first. He has a ton of first inning RBIs this year. Knuckleball outside, and Marisnick strikes out. Second strikeout for Dickey so far tonight. little bit more movement on that knuckleball.
Much better. He got ahead of Marisnik and then finishes him off with this one outside the strike zone. They've been swinging and missing a lot against Dickey lately.
Now here's the hero from last night's game, that home run. His first major league home run. And it came in the 8th inning to give the Astros a 2-1 lead. They would add a run. Goes after the first pitch and hits it high in the air to right. Bautista over near the line, gets there and makes the catch. 2 down.
Blue Jays on Sportsnet. Brought to you by the 2014 Honda Civic. Canada's best-selling car 16 years in a row. And the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Minute Maid Park, you saw that statue that was Jeff Bagwell, the first baseman, part of the 3 killer bees that played here so long and played so well. Craig Biggio, Jeff Bagwell, and Lance Berkman.
How about Derek Bell? Throw him in there too.
Killer bee.
Make him a killer bee.
They had quite a team there. 2005 World Series team.
They could hit. Numbers retired here in Houston.
Jose Altuve doubled and scored in the first. Got things going. It doubled down the left field line. His 32nd double of the season. This is a good player. Leads the American League in average with that .340 average. Leads in stolen bases as well. Bouncing ball to Thomason. Across the diamond in time. Easy inning for R.A. Dickey. Nice bounce back inning for him. Took him just 8 pitches to retire the side in order. Of the Toronto Blue Jays. Breaking news, photos, videos, opinions, and tweets. A one-stop shop for everything Blue Jays. The Blue Jays Rundown only on Sportsnet.ca. Chai Davidi is reassessing Blue Jays Stan Pat deadline, and they just couldn't get a deal done. The Blue Jays were anxious to hold on to their young pitching prospects, and you can't subtract from a major league team. And you had to keep everything intact, and you didn't want to give up any major league players because then it's counterproductive to what you're trying to accomplish.
Alex was talking about that. If I try to plug a hole at the major league roster with a major league player, I'm just spinning my wheels, not doing anything to help the ball club, and it just didn't work out. There was nothing that married up between the Blue Jays organization and the other organization.
Anthony Ghost takes a strike. It's 1-1 to the center fielder. I would think this would be a good candidate for Ghost to bunt against. Doesn't throw hard. Got a little bit of a slow curveball. Anthony has 6 bunt hits so far this season.
I'm with you. It looks like he's going to swing away early in the ball game here. I think it's a good idea to pick your spots when you want to try and lay down a bunt. You can bring it with you, or you can push it to the third baseman. Right now, it might be a little bit too early in the ball game to give away that attack.
2 balls and 2 strikes. Change up down and away. Left-handers have hit .273 against Oberholtz. The right-handers .302. Kind of a balanced split. We mentioned he got off to a terrible start. He went 0-6 in his first 7 starts and then was sent back to the minor leagues. There's a leadoff walk. Just as effective as a bunt base hit. He's aboard. Turns the lineup over for Reyes.
Boy, you are asking for trouble when you walk the number 9 hitter like that to lead off an inning. Turn over the lineup and you've got some hot hitters coming up.
If you're an opposing pitcher and you look at the Blue Jays lineup and you say, okay, Reyes, Cabrera, Bautista, then Raimo, who's just trying to get his feet on the ground. Valencia's been bouncing around a little bit. No Encarnacion, no Lynn, no Laurie. I got to really grind on the bottom part of this lineup and make sure I get outs down there. Gose has been picked off twice this season. This is a really challenging viewpoint from first base for the first baseman and for the base runner. Reyes shows bunt, takes a strike.
Yeah, the first baseman trying to catch the ball on a pickoff attempt or any ball from the left side of the infield. Or the base runner looking back at that pitcher if you're trying to steal.
Now, Altuve grounded out to Tollison to end the inning, and he then asked the first baseman, Valencia, how tough it was for him at first. Reyes drives this one to left, but it's right at the left fielder. On cross, and Reyes is retired. Just think of it this way. If you're playing first base, looking back toward the mound or toward the left side of the infield, it's as if somebody's shining a flashlight in the side of your eyes. It's a distraction, even though you're not looking directly into it. It's always there.
And you're not really used to, if you're the first baseman, sticking your hand up there to try and block the sun off of your eyes while you're trying to catch the ball. Gose will get a feel for if the pitcher is going home or if he's going over to first base. I was talking to him back at Rogers Center, asking him what he looks for. He says, well, I just try to get a feel for when he's going to go home. And that's when I pick my spots to try and steal bases. He's got exceptional speed. He's 11 for 15 in stolen bases this year.
Nelke off the end of the bat. He hit it right off that cupped portion of the bat and shattered the barrel. You can see how that bat's cupped out. And it's got a very sharp ridge in the cup portion of it, and baseball hit there and just flaked the end of that bat off.
Usually off of a changeup that's going to fade down and away from a right-handed batter. You can see Melke's timing messed up right off the end of the bat and chips it, making some firewood.
You see this situation with the shadows at first. It reminds me of the '83 All-Star game in Chicago. Dave Stieb was the starting pitcher for the American League. Rod Carew was playing first, and they had a couple of them go by Carew. He couldn't see the throws coming from the mound. Dave threw a couple over there. One got away, I know for sure. Anthony Gose with the leadoff walk. Reyes flied to left. Now Melke Cabrera. Melke extended his hit streak to 10 straight games with a bunt single his first time up. Catcher asks for time, and Melky Cabrera steps out. Astro having a tough time. You can see everybody's dealing with the sun, and they're not used to seeing the roof open here. It's the first time they've had the roof open in August to start a game.
Whose idea was it to open the roof? Wasn't the first baseman, was it?
Got his sunglasses on the top, and that's a good spot for him. At least that H won't get too much sun.
Obviously, it's not bothering him if he's got his sunglasses up on top of his hat.
Cabrera chases that high fastball, got a piece of it, but Castro hangs on for the strikeout.
Same pitch that Oberholzer got Jose Bautista in the first inning, an elevated fastball after a bunch of off-speed pitches. You think you can get that one, and Melky swings right through it.
That's the Mark Burley approach. Make him think about off-speed pitches and then use that fastball to finish off the at-bat. Bautista with a good cut, fouled it back.
Now you want to shut down the running game, because you don't want to get picked off, or you don't want to get caught stealing right here with this guy at the plate. With one swing, he can give you the lead back. So a little bit more conservative over at first base for Anthony Gose.
Bautista has 8 home runs against lefty pitching this season, 8 of his 21. Use that fastball again. Bautista has to temper himself, not getting too excited about that high fastball. He is best when he works that pitcher down into his happy zone.
That's where I think you could look for an off-speed pitch. This looks like a changeup right here. And it is, and it's out of the strike zone. He doesn't throw it hard enough to throw it by you.
Does Bautista change his thinking from pitch to pitch in an at-bat?
He can. He can. He's a very intelligent hitter, very smart. He'll look for certain pitches and certain counts, and if he doesn't feel comfortable, he won't swing at them.
Drives this one to the alley in left center, and Gose can fly. He's around second, headed for third. He's being waved around third, and they miss the cutoff man. The fundamentals got Houston right there. Anthony Gose hadn't reached third when that ball went over the first cutoff man in shallow left field, and he comes around to score all the way from first.
So they had a shot, even though he runs so well. The ball sits so hard by Bautista into the gap. Kraus did a nice job of getting over there, catching it, but he overthrows the cutoff man. Pitch down in the zone. This ball is blocked in the left center field. Gose takes off. Now watch when Kraus gets over there. He retrieves the ball very quickly, bare hands it, and then overthrows the cutoff man right there. 2 bounces, and then Altuve had no chance.
The shortstop Petit was out there to take that cutoff, and he airmailed him, and that allowed Gose to score from first without a throw. Bautista's at second. Nolan Reimold takes his strike.
Well, 2 outs, he can run on anything, and he knows he's going to score right here. He's going to get the green light to score. The Astros just made it a lot easier by overthrowing the cutoff man.
2-2 ball game. Nolan Reimold had a sac fly in the first. Tried to check it, he went around. Reimold drove in Jose Reyes from third base. Picked up his 6th RBI of the season. Bautista, with that RBI, he has 64 RBIs now. There goes Bautista to third. The ball is fouled back. Reimold with an 0-2 count couldn't afford to take a pitch. He's got to protect the plate.
Yeah, he had to swing at that one. That was going to be a strike, but Jose had that one stolen easily off of the pitcher. You say, well, okay, well, big deal. He steals third base with 2 outs. Then you got to make the play. If Reimold hits a ground ball to shortstop, an error is going to be a run.
Ball in the dirt. 1-2 to Nolan Reimold.
You have so many more ways of scoring from third base than you do from second base. And I think Bautista recognized that.
He had a walking lead from second. He wasn't going to be caught at third, and he's always playing with his head up. There's something to be done, and he can advance his position. He's going to do that. Inside corner, strike three. Reimold called out, second strikeout of the inning, third of the night. But the Blue Jays have tied it up. Jose Bautista, an RBI double. It's 2-2. Lady J's food drive is in support of Food Banks Canada. The weekend of August 8th through the 10th, Blue Jays take on the Detroit Tigers. During the Tigers series, bring your non-perishable food items and cash donations to gates 3, 5, 10, and 13 at Rogers Center. There are mystery bags available for a monetary donation. Call the Blue Jays for tickets at 416-341-1234 or log online at bluejays.com. 2-2 game. Robbie Grossman takes the first pitch strike. Grossman caught looking at strike three his first time up. Now he's in the hole 0-2.
That last pitch that you were just talking about had him talking to himself back in the dugout. Still couldn't believe that that ball was a strike. But it was right on the inside corner.
He's not taking another one. He said that one's too close. That's where he was called out his last time up.
You know, that's when RA is at his best, I think, when he's throwing a lot of strikes and making those hitters swing a lot.
There's a knuckleball lifted into right field. Bautista coming in. Grossman is retired. One down. Let's check in with Jamie Campbell. Gerardo Parra just joining the Brewers has had a negative impact in that game, at least. And St. Louis has one of their new starters on the mound, John Lackey, the other, of course.
That's the team to beat right there, I think.
St. Louis?
Yep. Opened up a spot in their lineup by trading away Alan Craig for Oscar Taveras. They've got great pitching. Now Lackey and Masterson.
And they've jumped on Kyle Loesch to the tune of 6 earned runs on 5 hits through 2 innings. Yeah, they have a nice lineup now. Johnny Peralta's done a good job for them. Peralta hit his 15th tonight. Colton Wong his 7th. Cardinals got a good balance in their offense. They're doing all that, of course, without their great catcher, Yadier Molina.
That Holiday is starting to get hot for him.
Chris Carter swings right through it, 2 down. R.A. Dickey has 3 strikeouts, and in the second half of the season, he's been much better, and he's gotten better and better as the season has gone on.
The whiff percentage, that's what I was talking about. He's striking out more batters. The whiff percentage from June to July has gone up. The opponent's batting average has gone down, and has been much better lately, getting that knuckleball over for strikes in July, hitting just .204 against Dickey. When that knuckleball is moving the way it is this inning, it's going to be tough.
Yeah, he's got the knuckleball back. He didn't have the good knuckleball in the first inning. You just didn't see that dramatic movement that he's had in the last 2 innings. He's retired 6 straight now.
You know, I think all you have to do is watch Josh Toll behind the dish tonight. If he's having trouble catching it, that's the sign that R.A. Dickey's knuckleball is real good. First inning, it was just tumbling.
Yeah, it's starting to move pretty good, and that's what you want to see if you're Dickey. Totally get those big eyes as he really tries to focus on that knuckleball, and when it's dancing, it's a real challenge. Ball is hit into right field. Bautista got a good break and make a chest high catch. 3 up, 3 down, 7 straight. Retired by R.A. Dickey. Huge week of tennis coverage. It's the Rogers Cup. Men are in Toronto. The women are in Montreal. Coverage of the 2014 Rogers Cup begins at 11 a.m. Eastern on 5 Sportsnet channels. I want to remind you tonight in the semifinal number 2 in Washington, Vasek Possible is playing in that semifinal. Milos Raonic has already advanced to tomorrow's final. And Raonic is the 6th seed in the upcoming Rogers Cup. He probably won't start his play until Wednesday in Toronto. But there's going to be a terrific field at the Rogers Cup, men's and women's. So make sure you check it out. And Sportsnet will have it all for you.
How about that for a little tune-up possibility tomorrow? All-Canadian final?
Wouldn't that be a great way to lead up to the Rogers Cup? Danny Valencia in this 2-2 game. Valencia has got some power. Talking with the Scots before the game, they were really walked in on Valencia during BP. He's putting on some show. Yesterday, they hit outside yesterday, inside today, but Valencia drew the attention of the scouts for the balls that he was hitting up into the train tracks. There's Gord Lakey in the middle of the picture there. He is a longtime scout now of the Phillies. He makes his home in Houston. He was a big lieutenant for Pat Gillick with the Blue Jays for many years.
Look at him studying the field right there, and keeping his eyes right on the diamond.
The scouts always comparing notes. You see, a lot of them will listen to the local radio broadcast to keep up to speed on everything. Might get a piece of information that'll help them do their job.
Boy, they know everything. He was telling us yesterday that story, how he was in Texas with the Yankee-Texas game, and in one inning, both teams threw 84 pitches in the 7th inning in one game.
Danny Valencia goes the other way and hits it into center field. That pitch was up and he went right with it. A leadoff single here in the 4th.
He's hammering the fastball. They threw him a couple of off-speed pitches and his timing wasn't there. And as soon as they went to the heater right there, he hammered it.
Well, that's his strength, and that's what they said about how do you hit a curveball. Don't miss the fastball. Steve Tolleson misses nothing when he faces left-handed pitching. He singled in his first time up. Came into this game with a .342 average against southpaws. Off-speed pitch down and away. Blue Jays really got to dig down deep in these last 2 games of this road trip. They've had a great road trip and lost just 2 games of the first 8. 6-2 so far. This is a fly ball to right. Robbie Grossman got twisted around. He gets back and makes the catch. Valencia went back to tag, but he has to stay put.
Well, it's been a long road trip, 3-city trip. You're in the final leg of that trip, and we were talking to John Gibbons before the game today about that second day in the city after you travel all night. Blue Jays got in here about 4:30 in the morning local time the other night, and first game here, no problem. It's always that second night. And I asked Gibby about that while the team might have been flat last night. He said, sure. He said, that's why we're not hitting on the field today.
Blue Jays are 2-6 in this ballpark. And you're right. They looked a little bit weary yesterday. And obviously, these are the dog days of August.
And it's tough. I mean, they traveled all night from Boston, got into Houston late. They got up, played another game. And you're on adrenaline then that first day. It's always that second day when you get into that city after a long travel night.
Yeah, just think how tough it is on the broadcasters. We're a lot older than them.
But we're sitting in chairs. These guys are out there playing, right?
1-1, 1 out. Josh Tolley, the catcher, hit into a double play his first time up. Hits this ground ball through into center field for a base hit. Valencia stops at second. Tolley has his first hit of the night.
That's his game right there. Right back through the middle. Keep that front shoulder in there against the left-handed pitcher. Don't give in. He sends it with authority back through the middle. No chance for Petit, the shortstop, to get that one and start another double play.
So Tolley's aboard. Valencia's at second. A couple of singles sandwiched around the fly ball out off the bat of Tolleson. Now Ryan Goins, the 8-hitter. Ball is upstairs. The Astros play Goins really around to left field. The left fielder, Mark Krause, is over toward the line in the corner. There's a big gap in left center. And Goins has gap power. I think he can drive the ball.
Yeah, I think they need to be a little bit more straight up. The way that Ryan has been swinging the bat lately, for me, he's a middle of the field type of hitter. He's not an opposite field type of hitter. He has been much more aggressive. I saw him in the clubhouse this afternoon and congratulating on him on the way he's been playing. And I said, don't wake up. Stay unconscious. Don't think about anything. Just keep doing what you're doing. And that is just see the ball and just try and hit it hard somewhere.
Chase that breaking ball. Now he's got a battle. And here's where you look, breaking ball, shorten up your stroke, protect the plate. He's done a nice job since he's been recalled from AAA Buffalo. 293 average. He's had a couple of doubles and a triple. Big number at the end, 8 RBIs since he's been called up. There's a fly ball to left. Krause over to his left. Makes the catch. 2 down. Goins flies out to left field for a second time tonight. Anthony Gose, who had a leadoff walk, came around to score the tying run in the 3rd. I mean, if you're Bo Porter and the pitching coach Brett Strawn for the Astros, you really have to be disturbed by that leadoff walk. Number 9 hitter's a lefty bat. He's a guy you got to get out. And you walk him, he comes around to score, especially because Gose runs so well.
Yep. And now what you want to see right here is just attack. And Anthony, on the other hand, be ready.
It's a high breaking ball. Pretty good pitch to hit.
Anytime you walk the leadoff batter of an inning, especially a guy who hits 9th in the order, he's hitting 9th for a reason. You walk him, you're just asking for trouble. Blue Jays will take it.
Hit on the ground off Singleton. Altuve is there to make a play, and Valencia will stop at 3rd. Gose hit it hard and really handcuffed the first baseman, John Singleton.
And he was ready to hit that time. 2 on and 2 out. He's ready to get up there and swing. It's a breaking ball, and he hits it hard to the first baseman, Singleton, and it handcuffs him. Astros catch a break when that ball ricochets to Altuve, the second baseman.
Altuve's an all-star, and he played it perfectly. He anticipated the possibility of that ball bouncing off the first baseman. It's the 8th error committed by the first baseman, John Singleton. The bases are now loaded, but you got the top of the order and the switch hitter, Jose Reyes, batting.
Reyes doubled his first time up and then just missed another ball his second time up when he flew out the left field. Tell you what, I would be ready for this first pitch right here.
Off the plate inside. Reyes has 1 home run this season, batting as a right-handed batter. That came against Tyler Skaggs in Anaheim back in June. Valencia singled, Tolle singled, and Gose reached on an error. Ball in the dirt.
The problem, excuse me, Buck, that Jose has had right-handed is that bat dips a little bit. He's got a slight uppercut. Right-handed, his hands are a little bit too slow. He's got a loop in his swing. They've been trying to keep him a little bit more balanced and going back through the middle, not raising up that front shoulder. Try to stay level.
Two 2-0. Hit to left field, and that's going to be caught by Krause. The Blue Jays haven't been able to get a big hit in this series so far. They leave the bases loaded. We're going to the bottom of the 4th. It's a 2-2 game. He's set to start the bottom of a fourth inning, and the starters have really carried the team lately. Last 7 starts, they have won 4 of those 7 games, pitching to a very good ERA, holding the opponents down to a .200 batting average. And they have pitched very economically, just 16 pitches per inning, so that allows them to go deeper into the game. And once you get a well-pitched game from your starter, everything else falls in line behind it.
This started with the Drew Hutchison start in New York on this road trip when he pitched into the 7th inning. It was followed up by Jay Happ, and then R.A. Dickey's 10 strikeout game in 7 innings, and then Marcus Stroman. He's just been outstanding for the Blue Jays. Mark Burley pitched into the 7th inning. And then in last night's game, Jay Happ, 7 innings, 6 strikeouts, 1 earned run. You get the starters doing that, you're going to win your share of ball games.
R.A. Dickey to Mark Krause throws a first pitch strike. All of the Houston media people were raving about Jay Happ. Of course, he pitched 2.5 seasons here for the Astros, and they never saw that kind of velocity while he was pitching for Houston. Up to 95 miles an hour using a very good fastball.
Make a slight adjustment like they did and dropped his arm angle just a little bit. He was telling me today that has freed up his arm to come through a little bit quicker. He's added a couple of miles per hour.
Dickey thought that was a strike. He's ahead of Mark Krause, 1-2. Blue Jays just haven't been able to get that big hit to blow a game wide open. They've had plenty of opportunities throughout this game, this series. Last night they were 0 for 3 with runners in scoring position. There's a fly ball to center. Easy play for Anthony Gose. 1 down. When you look at the teams that are in contention year in and year out, it's always the teams that have wins from their starters, and that's what the Blue Jays are doing this season.
Yeah, lots of them. And the Blue Jays right there. Mark Burley's got 11 wins, and R.A. Dickey with his 9, Happ, Hutchison, and Stroman. They have come on strong. You get those starters getting decisions, especially wins. That's why you're going to win. That's why you're going to have success year in and year out. It's no secret the Oakland A's and Detroit Tigers, those teams with the great pitching staffs, great starters, are always up there 1, 2, 3 in the American League and wins.
Tampa Bay always featured a great starting staff, and that's why they were able to play in the postseason so frequently. That ball is hit hard into the alley, and that's going to get down and go all the way to the warning track. John Singleton has a couple of hits tonight.
The 2014 Honda Civic, Canada's best-selling car 16 years in a row, and the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Welcome back to Houston on a beautiful night. The roof is wide open and had an early start here just after 6 local time. Really become a comfortable evening. 1 out double for Singleton. His 8th double of the season. Singleton is 2 for 2 with an RBI. Matt Dominguez flied out to right field to end the first inning. Boy, you just can't wind up to try to hit the knuckleball. If you do that, your swing's going to be so long and you won't have a chance. And you can see him really winding up, loading up that swing.
You want to try and keep it as short as possible. You want to move as late as possible with your swing. If you do that, you're going to make consistent contact.
That's a bouncing ball to third, backhanded by Tolleson. Long throw in plenty of time. 2 down.
We saw David Ortiz in Boston against R.A. Dickey. If you remember that, he was just standing up there at the plate with the bat on his shoulder as Dickey went into his windup and didn't move until he let go of the ball. It's not a bad idea to try something like that.
Remember when you were a kid, they'd say, get the bat off your shoulder? Ortiz going the other way. Jake Marisnick struck out his first time up tonight.
The best way to describe trying to hit a knuckleball, remember when you were a kid and you play wiffle ball? And that ball come in there and you'd be going all over the place? Same thing. You didn't try and swing wildly at that thing, did you? You just tried to make contact, solid contact. And that's really the best way to hit a knuckleball.
Upstairs, it's a ball on the strike to the Astros center fielder. Marisnick, 23 years old. Grew up in Riverside, California. The Blue Jays drafted him in the 3rd round of the 2009 draft. Just over near the seats along the 3rd baseline. That's going to be out of play. Marisnick was included in that big trade, sent 6 Blue Jay players down to Miami in exchange for Mark Burley, Jose Reyes, Josh Johnson. One of those players, Henderson Alvarez, just went on the disabled list with a bad shoulder. Of course, Burley and Reyes, a big part of what the Blue Jays have done this year.
I think he's going to be a good fielder. Right now, Jake Marisnick, you can see the way he moves around in the outfield, but offensively, he's going to have to make some adjustments, maybe spread out just a little bit more. He's a tall guy, about 6'2", 6'3". He's big, and you can see he's standing straight up. And his swing's a little bit long.
This one is playable on the infield. Collison gets out of the way for the shortstop, Reyes, who makes the catch. A one-out double doesn't factor in. We'll move to the 5th. It's a 2-2 game. Now it's time for a Blue Jays Central update. Here's Jamie Campbell and Greg Zahn. It is presented by Honda. Tuesday, August 5th, the Blue Jays will take on the Baltimore Orioles. It all starts at 7:07 p.m. The first 15,000 fans into Rogers Center will receive a hashtag Joey Bats social media t-shirt giveaway chosen by you, the fans. Call the Blue Jays at 416-341-1234 to order your tickets, or you can always get your tickets online at BlueJays.com. Melky Cabrera factored in the first inning run by the Blue Jays. He had a bunt single to push Reyes to third. So it was first and third, nobody out. Nolan Raimo cashed in Reyes with a sac fly.
He just caught Matt Dominguez back at third base and dropped one down in front of him. Now he's got him in at third base, so he could probably shoot one by him. Now Dominguez is going to move back with 2 strikes. It's a heady play.
This is popped up out in front of home plate. Melky Cabrera takes off for first. Third baseman Matt Dominguez comes down to make the catch. That's the first out of the top of the 5th.
He's a good fielder, Matt Dominguez. He's only made 7 errors, like we said. He's played in 109 of 110 games that they've played. 105 of them at third base.
He's only 24 years old. He was a former first-round pick of the Marlins in 2007. Grew up in California, born in Van Nuys, California, out in Nevada. He came to the Astros in a big trade. Carlos Lee went to Miami. Matt Dominguez and Rob Rasmussen came from Miami to the Astros. The same left-handed Rob Rasmussen we've seen a couple of times.
Wonder what he thinks about the young third baseman they just acquired from the Marlins again.
He's probably not thinking too much about him right now. Jose Bautista, an RBI double in the third. Way inside. Yeah, the Marlins and the Astros made another trade, and they picked up a very highly touted minor league third baseman. Left-handed hitting third baseman at the University of North Carolina.
He's just 21 years old. He's A-ball. They might move him up to Double-A. Breaking ball, 3-0. How's that for respect?
Well, that's the old Hiroki Kuroda scouting report. He had a 3-0 pitch off Kuroda out of the stadium in New York. 3-1. Another off-speed pitch and a high fly ball. Marisnik, the center fielder, moves underneath it, makes the catch. 2 outs. They're not going to give in to Bautista very often, and you're going to throw him a lot of junk when you got a hitter's count, and that's what he got. Another off-speed pitch.
Yeah, you can see Jose upset with him, but hey, you know what? 3-0. You're not going to get a fastball from this guy. That fastball is just for show. He's going to get you out with an off-speed pitch.
Nolan Reimel had a sac fly in the first inning. He gets sawed off. Dominguez at third, throws on the run, and it's close at first. Reimel gets down the line, and it looked like he may have beaten the throat. John Gibbons is at the top step of the dugout, and he's going to come out and have a look. Tim Leipert not giving him the thumbs up or thumbs down, and Gibbons is still on the field making his way toward first. Reimel can really run. That ball is in the glove just before that foot comes down on top of the bag. It was close, but he appeared to be out. Gibbons has left the field. Reimel is out. 3 up, 3 down. The Jays are down in order. Of his match tonight in semifinal number 2, but he has an early lead in the second set. That's going on right now on Sportsnet 360, so make sure you check it out. As we have told you earlier, Milos Raonic has advanced to the final, and there is the possibility of an all-Canadian final tomorrow in Washington, and we'll have it for you at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Two-two ball game. We move to the bottom of the 5th. Gregorio Petit, the shortstop. Mickey throws him a strike. Petit making just his 5th start at shortstop for the Astros.
He's played some time in the big leagues for a little bit.
It's been a while. He was with the Oakland A's in 2008, 2009. This is his first opportunity. He's a guy that has bounced around quite a bit. He signed with Oakland in 2001 as a free agent. He went from Oakland to Texas in 2010, and he bounced around as a free agent from San Diego, Cleveland, back to San Diego, and here to Houston in January this year. It's that one to the second baseman. Nice grab by Goins. 1 down.
Finger cooked tonight. Order from over 100 menu items at bostonpizza.com. Proud partner of the Toronto Blue Jays.
R.A. Dickey working in the 5th inning in a 2-2 game. Dickey has pitched at least 5 innings in all but 1 start this season. And that 1 start in Minnesota, April 17th. It was only 31 degrees.
Yeah, that didn't count. It was freezing.
That was a miserable night. He threw 112 pitches in 4 1/3. Had 5 walks, and he didn't have a chance. He's got a pitch that is all finesse, and when you can't feel your fingers, how are you going to throw a knuckleball? Altuve pulled it foul outside of 3rd. Altuve is just 24 years old. This is his 4th year with the Astros. He's a 2-time All-Star, made the All-Star team in 2012 and again this July.
He can hit. He can hit. He can field. He can run.
There's another hit. His 2nd hit of the night is a single to center.
Multi-hit games. He's leading in that too. We talked about Melky Cabrera and how well he has done this year. Well, this guy has topped that. And I bet you he doesn't stay there very long. Multi-hit games, AL leaders. Here he is right here. 47 multi-hit games.
That's just tremendous focus, and you get 1 hit, you want more. Cano, Cabrera, Markakis, and Kinsler in the top 5. R.A. Dickey throws it away. Altuve's got a chance to go to 3rd. Valencia gathers it on the warning track. Here's the throw to 3rd. It is not in time, and it gets away. And here it comes to home, and he's going to score. Speed kills, and Altuve, the threat of the steal, allows him to score on 2 errors.
Just the threat of being able to steal a base really puts everybody on edge. He singles, and when R.A. Dickey tries to pick him off quickly, he throws it away. Now he's going to make 3rd easily with that good speed. Valencia comes up firing, and when it ricochets ever so slightly off the glove of Tolson, it doesn't even leave the dirt area. He scores without a throw. Boy, that's what you can do. How exciting a play that is, being able to run like that.
It's an error on Dickey, his 2nd of the season. Danny Valencia also charged with a throwing error. And the Astros have taken a 3-2 lead.
He's the best mini Houston second baseman since Joe Morgan.
Same type of dynamic player. Speed, power, and the ability to hit.
And cause distractions when you're on the bases.
Robbie Grossman takes a strike. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Grossman has gone 0 for 2 so far. Altuve is just one of those guys that makes things happen. That's grounded to 1st. Valencia will shovel it to Dickey, and Grossman is 0 for 3. Valencia making just his 2nd start at first base. The throw was offline a bit. But he had to reach back across. Left-handed first baseman makes that catch easily.
Easily. And again, he's only starting his second game at first base. Dickey tried to quick pickoff play over first base, and the throw was offline, so that's on him. The throw then back across didn't look too bad, but it just glanced off the glove, and it didn't go very far. He was able to score all the way around the bases on a couple of errors.
Chris Carter had an RBI double in the first. He struck out in the third. This one is deep and way back. Up onto the railroad tracks and maybe out of the ballpark. Carter, number 22 for the season. The 20th that R.A. Dickey has given up.
Told you you could pitch to him. He'll have his share of strikeouts, but if you miss your spots, he's got big time power. That ball down and in, and he just golfs it out of here right between the light standard and onto the railroad tracks and out of the ballpark.
There's another looper. That's going to drop for a base hit. Jason Castro has his second hit of the night. Castro 2 for 3. Top of the order doing all the damage. First 4 hitters in the lineup have 6 hits. Now Chile with a pair, Carter with a pair, and Castro now with 2. John Singleton, he has the other 2. 8 hits for Houston. Mark Krause, a couple of fly ball outs.
And this is the guy right here, Krause, who came into this game with the best batting average against R.A. Dickey.
3 for 5 with a home run. This is the 3rd start Dickey has made against Houston since joining the Blue Jays. He was 1-1 in those 2 previous games. There's a high strike. Dickey lost his start on April 10th at Rogers Center to Dallas Keuchel. Both pitchers went 7 innings. Jonathan Villar and Robbie Grossman both homered in that game. Good scoop by Tolley. (2013) again at Rogers Center. Dickey beat the Astros in a 12-6 win. Ground ball. Goins at second. He'll go to first. The inning is over, but the Astros have taken the lead. 2 runs on 3 hits and a big home run by Chris Carter. Houston up 4-2 through 5. broadcast experience and baseball IQ, calling all 162 games with Toronto Blue Jays in action and resolution. Blue Jays baseball every game exclusively on Sportsnet 590 The Fan. Jerry Howard has been at the helm for a long time. Joe Siddall has been a great first-year partner for Jerry, and we're happy to have Joe. When Pat takes time off, Joe comes over into the TV booth.
Let's don't forget about Tom Young, also that part of that crew.
Tom Young is the guy that keeps everything sorted out over there, the producer. Their great radio show. Jose Altuve scored the go-ahead run, and once again he is a spark plug. He scored 2 runs tonight. So the Blue Jays got to figure out Brett Oberholzer. And managed 2 runs on 6 hits. Danny Valencia has one of those 6 hits. He had a single into center his last time up.
They haven't had a problem getting runners on base. They just haven't been able to come up with a big base hit tonight.
They've had their leadoff man on in 4 of the first 5 innings, but just 2 of them have scored. Valencia in his 5 games with the Jays, 4 for 12, a couple of doubles. Blue Jays in this ballpark have always had their problems against the Astros. They're 2-6 here at Minute Maid Park. Chris Carter with his 22nd home run also had an RBI double in the first. He now has 51 ribbies for the season.
And the Astros have really struggled the last few years.
Ground ball to short. Petit in time. 1 down. Let's check in with Jamie Campbell. How about that? Thank you, Jamie. That's an interesting development for sure. 1 hit in the game. DeGrom has walked 1, struck out 6. He's allowed 1 hit. Jake Peavy has 3 strikeouts over his 6 innings of work. How about that? 1 hit in the whole game.
Isn't that the game yesterday that was 2 hours and 6 minutes? It was. Giants beat the Mets in 2 hours and 6 minutes yesterday.
That's impossible. Can't happen in this day and age. 2 hours and 6 minutes, 28,000 on hand, and John Neese and Ryan Vogelsong.
Yeah,
Vogelsong threw a 2-hitter.
Mets had 2 hits. Back at it again today.
That's good old-fashioned baseball right there.
Termites, a lot of termites.
Vogelsong faced just 1 over the minimum, throwing that 2-hitter. First 9-inning complete game of his career. Strike 3 call. Tonneson didn't even think it was close. He took the pitch with a lot of confidence, and then he is called out on strike 3. Watch his reaction here. Okay, that's upstairs. No big deal. He couldn't believe it.
What? You say what? That was a fastball that I thought was up. But the home plate umpire, that's Jordan Baker, he doesn't agree with him.
Josh Tolle is 1 for 2. It's going to be a quick inning. It's bobbled by Petit, and he throws in time. What a nice recovery. Gregorio Petit bobbled it off the glove, made a nice throw to end the inning. Petit kicks it, drops it, picks it up, throws to first, and retires aside. Just 9 pitches for Oberholzer in the 6th. $24.99 when you upgrade or switch to select new Android phones on a 2-year Share Everything plan. Check it out today, the Sony SmartPad. You can check it out at Rogers today. Well, Blue Jay fans here at Minute Maid Park are looking up on the scoreboard, and they can notice that Seattle has just taken a 4-1 lead over the Orioles, and the Blue Jays need to wake up and come back and win this game. Seattle running out of games now.
Yeah, Seattle doing them a favor by beating them right now. It's in the 5th inning. But the Jays need to take care of business, and their business is to win this series against Houston. They're in last place. Check that, Texas is in last place, but they need to win this series.
R.A. Dickey's got to figure out how to get John Singleton out. He's 2 for 2 tonight. He has an RBI single and a double. Dickey once again 5 innings. He has certainly given the Blue Jays innings this season. This one start has been short of 5 innings for Dickey all year long. The home run he gave up to Chris Carter was only the 17th home run he's allowed on the road since becoming a Blue Jay, compared to 37 that he's given up at Rogers Center. This was popped into the upper deck.
Yeah, that's been a big sore point on a lot of people. But doesn't matter where you give them up, you got to keep the ball in the ballpark. He did a good job in his last start. Did not give up a home run to the Red Sox in 7 innings.
Singleton hits this one down the right side. That's a foul over the head of Danny Valencia. R.A. Dickey got up to a good start as far as the home runs go. He pitched 9 games, gave up 2 home runs to the Astros in a start at Rogers Center. Then another home run to Nelson Cruz. Those are the only 3 home runs he allowed in his first 9 starts.
Didn't give up another home run until May the 18th at Texas.
This is popped up. Tollison over near the seats along third base. Gets there and makes the catch. Singleton is retired for the first time. Let's check in with Jamie Campbell. Thank you, Jamie. Seattle starting James Paxton, the former Blue Jay draftee that did not sign, ended up signing with the Mariners, making his start tonight in Baltimore. Paxton for the season 2-0, just coming back from injury. Matt Dominguez, third baseman, is 0 for 2. Grounded out and flew out. Big wild swing. Again, there's another example of that exaggerated swing, how a hitter winds up. You just don't have a chance against that.
A little bit too long. He's flown out and he is grounded out. That was the soft knuckleball from Dickey. I think Dominguez saw it out of his hand and really wanted to clean it. Came up empty. R.A. has done a good job of mixing his miles per hour on his knuckleball, really keeping guys off balance. Still has that 79, 80 mile an hour knuckleball in his back pocket whenever he needs it.
We mentioned Paxton. He's making his 3rd start of the season. Of course, he's from Richmond, B.C. Went to Delta Secondary School in Ladner, B.C. So he's a Canadian enjoying success, and you can bet there's a big Canadian contingent watching him. Jose Bautista made a nice diving catch, reaching to his glove side. Looked like he took out a pretty serious divot and hit that turf pretty hard.
Yeah, he hit and stuck right in the ground, and you can see him replace all divots in the outfield. He got a great break. That ball was twisting to his glove side, and watch when he catches it when he hits the ground. I thought he might have jammed up his wrist, elbow, shoulder as it hits the ground, sticks. and he holds on to the ball.
It was his glove that made that divot. I thought it was his knee initially, but watch his glove. It's stuck in that grass. He's fortunate he didn't injure his wrist. Bautista dropped a fly ball here on Thursday night. Just a catch. He was running to his right. Appeared to have it in his glove, and it just popped out for an error. And then naturally his teammates the next day would make fun of it. There was a fan that had this huge oversized glove. Jose Reyes went over and got it and took it to Bautista. Says, you might need this tonight. That's when you know the team is going well, when they can get on each other.
He had the blue glove the other night. And tonight it looks like he's got a black glove on in right field.
Jake Marisnick hits it hard, but right to Thomason. Good inning for Dickey. He's through 6. The Blue Jays trail 4-2. Got to make something happen. R.A. Dickey has held the Astros to just 4 runs. Blue Jays got to come up with the bats. Honda, Sunday, August 10th. The Blue Jays will take on the Detroit Tigers. Game time is 1:07 p.m. First 20,000 fans will receive a replica Blue Jays BP cap, just like that one with the big red maple leaf. You can call the Jays at 416-341-1234 or log online at BlueJays.com. You'll order your tickets for the BP cap giveaway presented by Honda. Well, it's time for the Blue Jays to get something going. Ryan Goins will lead things off. Brent Oberholzer with a 2-run lead.
He's the perfect guy to get things going right here. 8 and 9. If these two can get on and turn that lineup over with guys on base, that'll be a good sign for the Jays. And I think the manager for Houston is thinking along the same lines. He's got his bullpen up.
8-9 for the Blue Jays here in the 7th. Goins with a good cut. He's behind 1-2. That is a newcomer. Mike Foltynewicz is up from the minor leagues, and he has not pitched in the big leagues, but everybody here in Houston is anxious to see him pitch. Little chopper out in front of home. Oberholzer makes a nice play. Goins is on. Let's check in with Jamie Campbell. Jamie, that went from a perfect game to the Mets scoring 4 runs on 4 hits. The roof caved in on Jake Peavy late there. San Francisco still with just one base hit, as the Mets now lead it 4-0. Anthony Gose has been on base twice. He walked and reached on an error in the fourth.
Remember, you were talking about bunting early in the game? Now's the time to do it right here. You got to get something started for the Blue Jays. The corners are not as close as I thought they would be. That's the third baseman and the first baseman. You could drop one down the right side, and I think Anthony could run and beat it out.
Ball on a strike. Now it's strike two. Gotta expect that the bunt is off now.
Oberholzer doing his thing right now. Is getting stronger.
Pumps that fastball right by Anthony Gose. 2 down.
The 2014 Honda Civic, Canada's best-selling car 16 years in a row, and the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Bit of a shot of downtown Houston. We're not far away, just a couple of blocks from downtown. Jose Reyes goes after the first pitch. Brett Oberholzer has retired 9 straight. Last base runner to reach Anthony Gose on the air by the first baseman.
Last base hit, Josh Tolley back in that fourth inning. That's where the Blue Jays really had their shot.
This is popped up. Altuve back to the outfield grass. A quiet inning for the Blue Jay bats. We'll go to the bottom of the 7th. Oberholzer really shutting down the Blue Jays. Play of the game brought to you by the Sleeman Speakeasy. Only the notorious get in. Enter for your chance at SleemanSpeakeasy.ca.
Gregorio Petit hasn't been playing shortstop very long for the Houston Astros. He only has 1 error, and it looked like it was going to be number 2 right there, but a quick recovery. Bare hands the ball after it hits, and then fires a strike over to first base. The play of the game by Gregorio Petit. Homered last night and makes a nice play here tonight.
Doing a nice job taking over at shortstop. Jonathan Villar was the shortstop the last time we saw these Astros. So it'll be 9-1-2 for Houston here in the bottom of the 7th. They have a 2-run lead. It's 4-2 Houston. He goes after the first pitch and hits it right to center field. Anthony Gose is there. 1 pitch, 1 out here in the 7th. Dickey's retired 5 straight now. Ran into some problems in the 5th inning. Jose Altuve had a single to center. Then Dickey made a throwing error on a pickoff attempt. Altuve went first to third, and the return throw from Danny Valencia got away from Steve Pallison. Altuve came all the way around to score on 2 errors.
here he is again.
He's 2 for 3 already tonight. Shows bunt and takes a strike.
Every time he has come up in this series, he has taken a look down at third base to see where the third baseman is playing, just in case he wanted to drop a bunt down.
He has hits in 20 of his last 21 games. He has just continued to reach base consistently. He has hit .338 at home this season before the 2 hits tonight. That was good for 4th in the American League.
You know, when you talk about players over the last 2 years, who has the most hits, Robinson Cano's name comes to mind, Miguel Cabrera's name comes to mind, some of the other great hitters, Mike Trout. It's this guy right here. He has had the most hits in the major leagues over the last couple seasons.
154 hits. He's first in the majors, and Melky Cabrera is second in the American League. Cano, Michael Brantley, Daniel Murphy. Those are the major league hit leaders. This is popped up on the infield. Reyes moves over and makes the catch. Altuve is retired. 2 down.
331 hits now he has had over the last 2 years. Pretty impressive. Nobody knows about him playing down here in Houston.
Yeah, he's a 2-time All-Star, and they're starting to learn about him. He's got a chance to win the first batting title in franchise history. Robbie Grossman's had a rough night. He's 0 for 3 with a strikeout. Came into this game as a .321 career hitter against the Jays. There's a strike. Strike 2. Looking ahead to the top of the 8th, Cabrera, Bautista, Reimold. The heavy hitters coming up for the Jays in the 8th. Ground ball to second. Dickey has a quick inning. Now it's over to the hitters. We'll move to the 8th inning. Blue Jays are down by 2. Melky Cabrera, Jose Bautista, Nolan Reimold will start when we come back. Right now on Sportsnet 360, and Vasek Pospisil is playing in the 3rd set. It's 1-1 in the 3rd set. He's trailing early in the 3rd set, and if you want to check that out, he's playing in the semifinal number 2. Milos Raonic, the Canadian, has already advanced to the final. Tomorrow we'll have that all for you at 3 p.m. Eastern Time on Sportsnet 360, and the possibility of an all-Canadian final looms on the ATP Tour. New pitch, Mike Foltynewicz is making his major league debut, and he can bring it.
Yeah, he's a fireballer. He's got above average fastball, It's been high 90s. I've also heard it hits triple digits. You can see 102 strikeouts in the minor leagues. This is his big league debut. Fastball, changeup. It's above average changeup and above average breaking ball.
First pitch of his big league career is up and away for a ball.
That's a mouthful right there.
Melky Cabrera pops it up into foul ground. Matt Dominguez is over and makes the catch. Foltynewicz has a big league out. This is one thing we have seen consistently around baseball. Young, hard-throwing pitchers coming to the big leagues, just like Aaron Sanchez, and having an impact.
He was a former first-round draft pick who was a starter in the minor leagues. The Astros said, we're going to bring him up here to the major leagues. We're going to pitch him out of the bullpen, and we're going to pick our spots to put him into the games. His parents came down from Chicago to watch him. He was late. They were late yesterday. They had a flight that was delayed for 10 hours, and they thought they would miss his big league debut, but they're here today. Get a chance to watch their son pitch. 99.
Bautista saying that's not a strike, and he might have been right. It was up and away. But it's a ball and a strike. Foltynewicz is 22 years old. He'll turn 23 on the 7th of October. Just a baby. Bautista behind 1-2. He was a first-round pick, 19th overall in June of 2010.
Goodness. Some confidence walk off that mound after he struck out Jose Bautista with some heat. First big league strikeout.
Pretty good name to put in your book for your first big league strikeout, a two-time home run champion. His family from Chicago, and now they can brag about their son having a major league strikeout.
They talked about him today, about how he would call his mom while she was at work when it was raining on a day for practice and saying, go over and rake up the field so the sun can shine, get it down there and dry it up. I want to play today.
Colby Rasmus pinch hitting against Foltynewicz. He is batting for Nolan Reimold. Reimold had an RBI on a sac fly, finished up 0 for 2. Foltynewicz making his major league debut much along the lines of Aaron Sanchez with the caliber of hitter he's facing. Foltynewicz gets Cabrera, Bautista, and now Colby Rasmus. Aaron Sanchez had Pedroia, Ortiz, and Napoli.
Yeah, it's not the bottom of the lineup. It's right through your best hitters.
In fact, they threw a changeup at 94.
Jason Castro, the catcher tonight for the Houston Astros. No tricks. Saying, let me see that big league arm.
You know, we talk about the radar gun and how it has had a negative impact, but the fans love to see the heat. So do the ball players.
Yeah. And they like to see that radar gun light up.
Rasmus will take ball 4. A 2-out walk. Rasmus, the pinch hitter. Now, Manny Valencia is the scheduled batter, but he's going to be lifted in favor of a pinch hitter as well. And this is going to be an interesting matchup. Foltynewicz throws a fastball. We haven't seen much of a breaking ball yet. And that has been the kryptonite for Juan Francisco, the breaking ball. So Valencia is out of the game. Francisco will come to the plate representing the tying run.
And it looks like Juan can sit on one pitch. He can turn around a fastball. And remember, he doesn't have to pull it to hit it out of the ballpark. Remember in Cincinnati when he hit the home run as a pinch hitter down the left field line, and it's very inviting here. in left field here in Houston.
Well, what do you do if you're Jason Castro? You got a young kid out here. He's got a 99-mile-an-hour fastball. Hey, this guy's a good fastball hitter? Or you just say, hey, your fastball's good enough?
I think you go with your strengths. And if your strengths are an upper 90s fastball, you got to still use it. Got the crowd all fired up when he struck out Jose Bautista and then ended up walking Rasmus.
Bo Porter playing his big, powerful rookie work here in the 8th, trying to protect a 2-run lead.
You know, I'm surprised he didn't have a left-hander up warming up for this spot right here.
Well, they got him warmed up quickly. Bo Porter took enough time as the pinch hitter was introduced.
There's no right-handers on the bench for the Blue Jays, so if they're going to bring in their left-handers, and Bo Porter countering with a left-handed pitcher, John Gibbons doesn't have a righty on his bench to counter that.
Colton Avich gets a nice round of applause for his major league debut. He has a strikeout. Got Bautista on a high fastball. And now it'll be a left-handed Tony Sipp coming into the ball game to face Juan Francisco. The Blue Jays have a runner on. They're down by 2. On Sportsnet, live on your smartphone. Visit RaptorsAnyPlaceTV.com/sports to get started. Mike Foltynewicz made his major league debut here tonight. He worked 2/3 of an inning, struck out a batter, walked a batter, and his night is over. But he is in the books. He is a major leaguer now. Turns things over to Tony Sipp
with a strikeout of a good hitter in Jose Bautista. Tony Sipp now, 35 games this year, a very good earned run average of .251. Look what left-handers have done against Tony Sipp. He'll challenge you with a fastball. Come right after you, about 93, and he moves it around the strike zone. He was a former 45th round draft pick by the Cleveland Indians out of Clemson in 2004, made his way to the big leagues, and has done a good job. This is bullpen. This is one of the things that the Houston Astros wanted to fix in the offseason, trying to get some veterans in here to hold down leads if they got deep into the ball game, and Sipp has done a good job for him.
Juan Francisco remains in the game to bat against the left-hander. Francisco, 118 against lefties this year, just 4 hits and 34 at-bats. Breaking ball, high and deep to right, way back at the wall. Get up, get up! He caught it! Robbie Grossman takes away a 2-run home run from Juan Francisco. Timed his leap perfectly. Francisco waited back on the breaking ball, and Robbie Grossman jumps up over the wall and brings it back in the ballpark. The Astros keep their 2-run lead. We'll go to the bottom of the 8th. It's a 4-2 game. Now it's time for a Blue Jays Central update. Here's Jamie Campbell and Greg Zorn. Selling cars 16 years in a row and the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Chris Carter was tied for first in the American League in home runs in the month of July with 8, and his August has started nicely. This one off of R.A. Dickey deep and onto the train tracks. It was measured at 411 feet, but I don't believe that one. That one was going 500 feet.
He is 2 for 3 tonight. He scored 2 runs and driven in a pair. Robbie Grossman, the hero of the night so far. He took away a 2-run home run from Juan Francisco. That would have tied it. That eases the pain of an 0 for 4.
Yeah. Juan Francisco stays in the game at first base. Help the ball club any way you can. Can't help him tonight with your bat. Maybe you can save the game with that leaping catch. That ball looked like it was going to be a home run.
Boy, he did a nice job of looking for that breaking ball and hitting it home. R.A. Dickey working here in the 8th. This Carter has another hit. Bautista's got to get over and cut it off, and he does. Carter, a 3-hit night. We mentioned coming into this game, over his last 21 games, he's hit over 300.
And that'll probably be it for R.A. Dickey after that hit by Chris Carter. He's had a good night.
So Chris Carter gets his 3rd hit here in the 8th. It's a leadoff single. Jason Castro has a couple of hits against Dickey. John Gibbons would have preferred that Dickey had a chance to stay in this game. Dickey with a pretty good effort tonight. The 5th inning got him. He gave up 2 runs on 3 hits and a home run, a couple of errors contributing to that rally by the Astros. Brett Cecil will come into the game to face the Astros catcher Jason Castro when we come back. Houston with a 4-2 lead. having the game for the debut of our latest Blue Jays documentary, Double Play. It's a closer look at the winning combination of Paul Beeston and Pat Gillett. Double Play following the Jays on Sunday on 4 Sportsnet channels. Brett Cecil into the game to face Jason Castro, the catcher. Left-hander against the left-hander. Castro 2 for 3. There goes the runner. Tolley's throw is short of the mark. How about a night for Chris Carter? He caught the Blue Jays flat-footed and picks up his second stolen base of the season.
He went on first movement for Cecil, guessing that he would not pay attention to him. And watch him. There he goes. And no chance for Tolley to throw him out. Carter picks up his second stolen base of the season. And now a big insurance run is in scoring position.
It eliminates the possibility of a double play as well. Castro takes one that's a strike. Ball and a strike to the Astros catcher. This is a tough series for the Blue Jays, kind of a trap series. You go into New York and Boston, then come to Houston for a 4-game series. And, well, if you're not on your toes, you'll have a disappointing series.
It's a team, the Astros, before the Blue Jays got here, played the Oakland A's, the team with the best record in the American League. Yeah, and they could have swept them. They won 2 out of 3, and the only game they lost, they gave up 6 runs in the 9th inning on a game that, again, they could have swept the Oakland A's. So they're riding high right now. Blue Jays are riding high coming in here, sweeping the Boston Red Sox, and they have a big series starting next Tuesday against Baltimore. So you can't forget about this team.
The biggest series right now is the Houston series. They got to make sure they continue to focus on the Astros. Cecil falls behind Jason Castro. 3 balls and a strike. There's a drive to left, hit hard. Melky Cabrera back. It is down. Jason Castro, an opposite field home run. His second home run of the season against left-handed pitching. And a big home run for Houston. They have homered in 8 straight games.
Second home run tonight by the Astros. One by Carter. Now this oppo right here by Castro. Told you it's not that far down the left field line. It's very inviting for righties. And if you're a lefty, inside out swing, drive it the other way. 2 more runs for the Astros, making it 6-2.
Last night, Aaron Luke came in and gave up a home run to Gregorio Petit in the 8th inning. It turned out to be the game winner. Cecil comes in and gives up a home run to Jason Castro. L.J. Hose batting for Mark Krause, the left fielder. Chris Carter's had a big night. Now Castro has joined him. They've each had 3 hits tonight. Oh, 0-2 to the pinch hitter. Hose played right field on Thursday night, left field last night. He was entering the game, pinch hitting for the left fielder, Mark Krause. Hit hard through the left side. Base hit for the pinch hitter, Hose. 3 hits in the inning. 2 off Cecil since he's entered the game. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership. Open air baseball, in case you're just joining us. Most of the locals thinking that this is the first time a game in August has ever started with the roof open. And it's a comfortable night, very Nice evening. This stadium opened in 2000. This is the 15th season. And by most accounts, this is the first time a game has ever started with the roof open in August.
Well, I know it didn't do it in the Astrodome, so you might have to go all the way back to the early 60s when the Houston Colt 45s were playing outdoors before the Astrodome was built.
Ooh. There's a long, deep drive to deep center. Anthony goes back. It is off the wall, and Ghost falls down. Hoses around third. He's going to score. They're going to wave Singleton home. Goins has the throw. Here's the throw to the plate. He is out. John Singleton making a bid for an inside-the-park home run is tagged out at home by Josh Tolley. It was a strong relay. Bautista came over from right. Threw a perfect cutoff throw to Ryan Goins, who made a strong throw to the plate.
You can see Goins loses his footing, and then Bautista has to back him up. Ghost ends up with the ball. Here comes the throw. Goins does a great job unloading a strike. And he is punched out at the plate. Look at this. That is textbook for a middle infielder. Catch the ball, fire a strike. And it looks like they're going to replay this call at the plate.
He looked like he's safe. Anthony goes slipped, and he recovered in time to make the strong throw to Goins. Singleton circled the bases. At least he will have his first triple of the season. He possibly will have his 10th home run of the season. It is under review. The ruling on the field is that Singleton is out at home. 8-4-2 on the relay. L.J. Hose came all the way around to score from first. And now they have shown the replay on the big screen, and here's another angle.
There's the lane for him to slide. Does the foot get in? And it looks like the foot got in. That front foot looked like it touched home plate before the tag was applied. And there's no question that he's going to be called safe.
Well, we say that, and we have seen some of these stand up, but
they all think it's going to be an inside-the-park home run.
In the meantime, John Gibbons has made a pitching change. And they have called it a home run. So Singleton has hit the 3rd home run of the night. An inside-the-park home run. He'll be credited with 2 RBIs. He's had 3 tonight, and a big night. 3 of the Astros hitters have had 3-hit nights. Carter, Castro, and Singleton.
Right in the middle of their lineup. The guys that you want them to do damage. That ball was hit hard to center field. Ghost got over there, lost his footing, and it ricocheted all the way back to first base. And by the time it was run down, they couldn't get him at home.
Brett Cecil doesn't record an out and gives up a 2-run home run, a single, and then another 2-run home run, an inside-the-park home run by John Singleton.
Let's watch it one more time, probably to the deepest part of right center field. And watch where it hits the piping and bounces back into center field. Ghost has to go a long, long way to run it down. Goins is out there saying, give me the ball, and he fires a strike to the plate. But by the time Josh Tolley had to reach back, catch the ball, come back and make the tag, Singleton gets his foot in.
Chad Jenkins into the game in relief of Brett Cecil. Jenkins making his 17th appearance. He worked 2/3 of an inning in last night's game. There's that slider off the plate. Matt Dominguez was robbed of an extra base hit by Bautista back in the 6th. He sliced the ball down the right field line, and Bautista made a sliding catch. He waves at that slider, and he strikes out. That's the first out of the inning. So Dominguez is retired on strikes. Jake Marisnick, the center fielder, will step to the plate. He's 0 for 3. The Astros have out-hit the Blue Jays 12-6. Once again, the Jays stymied by a left-handed starter.
And find more trouble in the 8th inning. That's been a reoccurring theme for the Jays this season also.
Jake Marisnick, the former Blue Jay draftee, in his second game with the Astros. R.A. Dickey goes 7+1 batter. Gives up 9 hits. What a turnaround inning. Robbie Grossman robbed Juan Francisco of a 2-run home run. That would have tied it at 4-4. And then the Astros energized when they stepped to the plate in the bottom of the 8th.
What a great point. It looked like it was going to be a tie game after that swing by Francisco.
Breaking ball pulled to third. Thomason throws him out. Marisnick is retired, 2 down.
And then 1, 2, 3, 4 straight hits by the Astros, plating 4 runs, 2 of those home runs, and they have blown this thing open.
John Singleton with the second home run of the inning. An inside the park home run. He has singled, doubled, and homered tonight. Robbie Grossman with that great catch to end the top half of the 8th. Jenkins throws that good sinking fastball. Evens the count at a ball and strike. Looking ahead to the top of the 9th. Steve Thomas and Josh Tolley, Ryan Goins, the scheduled hitters. Eight to Houston. There's another base hit. Hanging slider, and Petit has his first hit of the night.
Big difference from that slider and the slider that struck out Matt Dominguez. That one just spun up and stayed in the middle of the strike zone. When he got Dominguez, had a little bit more depth to it. So the Astros keep the inning alive.
Broken back. Collison goes to second to end the inning. Altuve's retired on the fielder's choice. But a big inning for Houston. John Singleton, an inside the park home run. Strong throw to the plate. He is initially called out, but called safe by review. The first inside the park home run given up by the Blue Jays since September of 2011. Brett Cecil also gave up that inside the park home run. Bacardi. Friday, August 8th, the Blue Jays take on the Detroit Tigers. It's a 7:07 start. Come on down to Rogers Center early and check out the pregame festivities happening outside of gate number 10. Frank Catalanato and John Mayberry, a couple of former Blue Jays, will be signing autographs from 5:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. Call the Jays for tickets at 416-341-1234 or log online at bluejays.com to order your tickets for the next Summer Friday Fan Festival presented by Bacardi. Big night for John Singleton, the first baseman. A 3-hit night. He's driven in 4. New pitcher is Paul Clemens into the game to work the 9th inning. Astros have an 8-2 lead. He'll be facing the pinch hitter Munenori Kawasaki, who's batting for Steve Thomason.
And another good arm out of that bullpen. Clemens, there are his numbers in 12 games. 0-1 with a 6.08 earned run average. He was a 7th-round draft pick of the Braves.
This is popped up down the left side. L.J. Hose runs into the ball and still makes the catch. Hose just into the game as a pinch hitter. Came over and had to battle the ball boy who was moving his bench, picked up his stool, tried to get out of the way, and bumped into Hose, who still had the focus to lean into the seats and make the catch.
Astros are doing it all right now. Throws the bat boy out of the way, knocks the fan down, but holds on to the ball. That's 2 outs recorded now by the Astros outfielders. Last one to end the inning, and this one to begin this one are outstanding.
Both balls were out of the ballpark. Juan Francisco made a bid for a 2-run home run. Robbie Grossman robbed him of that. And L.J. Hose makes a nice play on the pinch hitter Kawasaki. Josh Tolley 1 for 3 tonight. Big overhand curveball missed inside.
He's got a good arm. His fastball mid-90s. Very good curveball and cutter. He's got good motion on that breaking ball.
He came from Atlanta, as you mentioned, in that deal that included Brett Oberholzer, Juan Abreu, Paul Clemens, Jordan Schaefer, and Oberholzer all came from the Braves for Michael Bourne. Michael Bourne, the center fielder. That trade took place July 31st, 2011. Trade deadline deal.
I tell you, when you start trading veterans like that and you do your scouting reports of other organizations, you find arms like this, or the Oberholzer, who we saw, who was in line for the win. You can just take good prospects from other organizations and build your organization.
Foley protects the plate and fouls it off. Tough night for the Blue Jays. They were hanging tough right through the 8th inning. They were down by 2, and then the roof caved in the 8th. 4 straight hits, including 2 home runs. Tolley again fouls it off.
I still think that catch by Grossman to end the 8th inning aided what they did in the bottom of the inning offensively.
No question about it. Robbie Grossman timed his leap perfectly in right field with 2 outs. Man aboard, Juan Francisco. It would look to be a 2-run game-tying home run, but Grossman made the catch to end the inning. And then the Astros came to the plate, and Chris Carter got his 3rd hit of the night. Jason Castro, an opposite field home run against Brett Cecil. And then Cecil gave up a single to L.J. Hose, and then the inside the park home run by John Singleton.
Balls that were hit hard that inning by the Astros.
Tolley works the walk. With 1 out, now it's time to check in with Connected. Here's a preview of what's coming up on Connected. Here's Jamie Thomas and Brendan Dunlop. Well, some great news. Vasek Pacipo has won his match, and they will meet the Canadians. Milos Raonic and Vasek Pacipo will meet in the finals of the ATP tournament in Washington. The all-Canadian finals Sunday. We'll have it for you on Sportsnet 360. It all starts at 3 p.m. What a great lead-up to the Rogers Cup. Pacipo and Raonic. Canadians in the final before the Rogers Cup next week. A tremendous lead-up to that Rogers Cup. Men are in Toronto. Women are in Montreal next week. Ryan Goins. Not 0 for 3 tonight. Blue Jays came into this series with a 5-1 record through New York and Boston. They won 2 of 3 against the Yankees, swept the Red Sox at Fenway.
Won the first game here, and they're in danger of losing the third game to go down 2-1.
Their loss last night snapped their 6-game win streak on this road trip.
Making tomorrow afternoon must-win time.
Marcus Stroman will go to the mound for the Blue Jays. Stroman has thrown great since they've moved him into the rotation. He'll be opposed by the right-hander Scott Feldman, who is 4-8. Stroman 7-2. Big breaking ball in. Goins just strikes out. 2 down. Blue Jays down to their final out. Well, you can see the long faces in the Blue Jays dugout. That reflects the feeling they came in here flying high. Won the opener, extended their win streak to 6 straight. There was a tough one last night, 3-1, and then a big inning in the 8th. Blew it wide open for Houston.
This one could have gone either way until that 8th inning.
Anthony Gose will try to keep things alive for the Jays. Paul Clemens, the 3rd reliever to work for Houston tonight. Red Holberholzer, the starter, went 7 innings, allowed 2 runs on 6 hits. Mike Foltynewicz made his major league debut tonight, pitched 2/3 of an inning, recorded a strikeout. Tony Sipp got an out, and now Clemens in the 9th.
That got the crowd fired up too in that 8th inning, striking out Jose Bautista. And now they're all on their feet.
Strike 3 call. Clemens drops the curveball on Anthony Gose, and the Blue Jays go quietly in the 9th. The Astros win 8-2 on 13 hits. Blue Jays score 2 runs on 6 hits and lose another game to a left-handed starter. They are now 14-16 on the season against lefty starters.
In a game, again, the game was in the balance until that 8th inning. The great catch in right field by Grossman really electrified this team. It looked like it was